Hi everyone, my name is Mr. John. I'm a children's librarian at the Harold Washington Library Center here in Chicago. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Today I'm going to show you a really fun engineering challenge project that you can do using materials that you just might have at home. So as part of this year's Summer Learning Challenge, Building Stories, I thought we could discuss some of the challenges architects face when they're designing buildings. There's a lot of common things that you need to consider when you're building a building. Like, what type of building are you designing? Are you building a school? Are you building a house for people to live in? Or maybe you're designing a library. Do you want your building to be just a couple stories tall, or do you want it to be a skyscraper? Those are all things you have to consider. How many rooms are going to be in your building? And on that note, how many bathrooms? So there's a lot of things that architects and designers have to think about when they're constructing buildings. One thing you might not think about right away is, how would a building react in an earthquake? But that's actually something architects and structural engineers have to think about a lot. And it's a big problem that they have to solve. Actually, nowadays, using a variety of building techniques and materials, architects and structural engineers are finding new ways of building buildings even taller and safer than ever before. So today, I'm actually going to show you how we can make a little earthquake simulator so we can test out some of our own structures. There's actually a few different ways you can simulate an earthquake. One way is to shake your camera and go like this. That's one way to simulate a little earthquake. Or we can actually build a little structure. That's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So for the earthquake simulator, you're going to need the following materials. You're going to need some cardboard. You're going to need some rubber bands. The long stretchy kind are the best to use for this project. You're going to need some balls. Today I have ping pong balls, but you can also use some bouncy balls, or if you have marbles, and you're going to need at least 4 of those. You'll need a ruler for measuring, some markers or pencils to write with and draw with. You'll need scissors and then some paper. That's basically what we need for the earthquake simulator, but if you want, we're also going to build a little structure to test out. And you can really use anything you might have at home. Today I'm going to build something out of Legos, but if you have other materials, such as cardboard or straws and tape, those are excellent materials too. So I will show you something made out of Legos, but I'm going to show you something using some different materials as well. So let's get started making our earthquake simulator. All right, so let's start off making our earthquake simulator. So you're really going to need 2 identical pieces of cardboard. I've already pre-cut these, but mine are about 10 inches by 11.5 inches. And I'm technically a grown-up, so I was able to do this on my own. But if you need help from a grown-up, you should get adult help, because it is a little tricky cutting cardboard, since the cardboard I have is pretty thick. This is corrugated cardboard, and I think this works really well. But I think if you have like a cereal box, that type of cardboard, that could work as well. So you need 2 identical pieces, just like this. And we're going to put the 2 pieces directly on top of each other. Now we're going to take 2 of our rubber bands, and we're going to place them on opposite ends of the cardboard, about 1 inch away from the edge. So there's 1. And here is a second piece that's about 1 inch away from the edge. And now this part is a little tricky, but now I have to insert the balls I have into the corners, sandwiched in between the 2 pieces of cardboard. And then we want them to be about 1.5 inches from the corner. So I'm going to start here, then go opposite to kind of keep this a little bit balanced. And then I'll go here. And then here. So I just want to check to make sure those are kind of like even. And then pretty much now our earthquake simulator is complete. So you'll see that now that I'm holding this and giving it a shake, you don't really see a lot of movement. But you'll see that once I add a structure on top of it, it'll be much more noticeable how much this will shake. So our earthquake simulator is actually ready to go now. And I actually designed a little structure already. I started off with a little blueprint drawing here. My structure ended up looking a bit different from this, and as you can see, I wanted it to be really tall, but this helped me design and plan my whole structure. So here it is. This one is made entirely out of Legos. Can you guys see that okay? See, here's kind of what I planned, and this is how it ended up looking. And this is what I used the paper and the markers for. So I think it's pretty sturdy on there. gonna give it some final adjusting, and now it's ready to test. So as you can see, I put my Lego structure on this Lego base plate, and it's a little smaller than I wanted. So I'm gonna have to use an extra rubber band, but I'm basically going to put the base plate underneath one of the rubber bands, and then I'm gonna add one more to secure it to the earthquake simulator. See? So I added this rubber band here, and now we're ready to test the stability of this structure. So basically, I'm gonna hold it down here and give it a good shake. Do you think it's gonna stay standing? I think so. I feel like I came up with a pretty good design, so I have some confidence in my structure, but I'm gonna give it a good shake and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, you see how much more noticeable the shaking is now that the structure's on it? And unfortunately, my structure did not stay up. Perhaps I was a little too confident in my design. But you can see that this actually creates some lateral movements, and that's very similar to the movements felt during a real earthquake. And lateral basically means side to side. You can see how much movement there is. And it's a lot more compared to when there was no structure on there, which I think is pretty cool to observe. So you'll see my structure is all in pieces because of all the shaking that happened during the simulation. So what do you think happened? And why do you think it happened? So I think perhaps my structure just didn't have the stability it needed to have that height. I really wanted a tall building, but what do you think I could have done differently to give it stability while still giving it height? So what could I have done to prevent it from falling over the next time? Normally, I would evaluate my design and kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out how I could change my design to improve it. But that's because trial and error is a really important part of engineering and architecture. It's really important that we make mistakes, and we're not afraid to make mistakes, but it's very important that we actually learn from our mistakes. However, today I'm actually gonna make a different structure out of household materials because I did want to show you that you could still do this activity without having Legos. But before I do that, look what I found. Do you guys know what you call it when there's a cow in an earthquake? It's a milkshake, guys. I thought that was pretty funny. A little joke to get us to the next segment. I'm gonna grab my materials and I'm gonna draw a new structure and build it for you. All right, so now I'm ready to design another structure. This time I'm gonna use some household materials. I'm gonna start off by drawing a little plan first. So I have my paper, I have my markers, but this time the materials I'm gonna use are some cardboard, I have some straws here, I have 2 different types of tape. So these will be my building materials. And I'm gonna start by doing a little drawing. I still wanna go for some height. And I know this is upside down right now, but I will be sure to show this to you right side up when I'm done. So I wanna go for some height like that. I also think I need to give it some extra width on the bottom. So I'm gonna give it like a wider base. Your drawing doesn't have to be perfect. But in addition to that, I also want to add some of the straws to the bottom to give it even more stability. So I'm going to add some straws down there. And then, whoops, there's no top on my building. Yeah. And it's going to be a really happy building either way. So this is my basic design for my building. And I think I'm ready to start making it. So here's my cardboard, I'm ready to go. All right, so I did my drawing and then I made my structure based on my drawing. One thing I forgot to mention is that it's important to fasten your structure to another piece of cardboard that we can put underneath the rubber bands on the earthquake simulator. So I'm pretty happy with my design. I think it came out pretty accurately based on my original concept. So I'm ready to test it out. So I'm gonna just slip this underneath. It's a little big, but that's okay. Whoops, I'm gonna slip this underneath the rubber bands on the earthquake simulator. Whoops, that's okay. I have another ball here. Came prepared. So I'm gonna just slip this ball under here. All right, what are your predictions? Is this gonna be a pretty stable structure? I think so. I got some extra supports here. I gave it a wide base and I have the height I wanted. So you ready? 3, 2, 1. Whoa! All right, I think it's pretty stable. I'm really happy with this design. But if it did not work, that would be totally okay. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail because it's all part of the trial and error process. I wish I had more time to do even more building for you, but that's all the time I have for you today. I did want to mention that if you do build anything, I encourage you to share what you make with us on social media using the hashtag CPLKids, or you can also email us here at the Children's Services and Family Engagement Department at cplkids@shipublib.org. I hope you all have signed up for the Summer Learning Challenge. This can totally count as one of your Discover activities. If you want to do any more reading about some of the concepts that we've discussed today, I have some great books here for you that I encourage you to check out. This one's called Get to Know Your Universe, Science Comic Skyscrapers, The Heights of Engineering by John Kirschbaum. And here's another great one. This is by David Macaulay, and it's called Built to Last. And it's all about structures that have been built to last the test of time. So I hope you guys will all try out this activity. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you guys will check out more of our activities later. Thank you.